Welcome to The Game Plan on Reach TV. I am your host, Courtney Fallon. This show is your insider guide to this week's key NFL action. In The Game Plan, I tap into the Bleav podcast network to bring you the most important information you need to know for this week's big games. Week 6 saw the end of the unbeatens with the Niners and the Eagles both going down. So what happens now? Joining me to go over the big stories you need to know before Week 7 arrives is Jonathan Stewart from the Bleav in Panthers podcast. Jonathan, let's play 3 and Out. Jonathan, how are you doing on this glorious day? How are you feeling about the top teams in the NFL for Week 7? It's pretty exciting. It's an exciting time.
It's very exciting. No complaints about, being able to wake up on Sunday morning and watch a game that everybody loves. Right now, me, Desmond Johnson, Skylar Callahan, we have a podcast called Bleav in Panthers with the Bleav Network. But, right now the Panthers aren't doing so well. But what are you going to do? You're going to suit up and play?
Yeah, exactly. Might I add that you are the all-time record holder for rushing yards in the Panthers franchise history. So maybe you should suit up. But we're going to be talking about a couple other teams before we get into this 3 and Out. We got to start off with the Buffalo Bills. They are 4-2, but they look lost. Jonathan, where does Sean McDermott go from here?
Really, it's all going to come down to, quarterback play. Josh Allen, the last, several seasons, he's found some success. But last year, you can kind of see something change. I think he's taking a wear and tear on his body, and I think the play calling has to be sensitive to that, especially, with it being early in the season.
Well, speaking of games that matter in December, possibly January, possibly February, these are the best 2 teams in the NFL right now. It's the Eagles and the Dolphins. The Eagles might be a little ticked off, so to speak. We could say they're kind of pissed. They're pissed.
Yeah, they're upset.
I am convinced that these 2 teams are the same team, but on different conferences. Like, how do you view this Eagles and Dolphins showdown?
The Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to go with them 100% of the way. And the reason why is because of experience. You just listed off the fact that they're pissed off because they lost. Think about how pissed off they are from losing the Super Bowl. The Miami Dolphins, they're winning. They have a lot of talent, but they don't have the experience that the Philadelphia Eagles have. And so that's the biggest difference right there.
Yeah, for sure. Could we potentially, Ace Ventura, that movie? They theoretically had the Eagles and the Dolphins in the Super Bowl, but I don't know about that. We're going to stick to what's here and what's now. Week 7, Niners, Eagles, Lions are 5-1. The Cowboys are 4-2. Has the NFC proven that they are the dominant conference in the NFL again?
The NFC has theoretically been the team, putting up points. But I also feel like right now we're seeing more than ever defenses win games. And you can make a case right now, AFC is the stronger component there.
We love that. We love your predictions, your assessment. Jonathan Stewart from the Bleav in Panthers podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, I'm breaking down my 3 key games that you need to know for Week 7. Each week, you know the deal by now. I like to focus on 3 key games that you need to know about entering Week 7 of the NFL season. I have circled these 3 matchups that we need to cover. And without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm starting off with our highlight matchup of the week, the seemingly unstoppable Miami Dolphins against the angry Eagles that lost to the Jets last week. Dolphins and Eagles are both 5-1 and stand atop their respective divisions. I love when the schedule serves up a game like this. It's a collision course. It is perfect. All right, we're starting off with the team down south, the Miami Dolphins, and their earth-shaking offense. Not only are they on pace to beat the 99 Rams in total yardage for the season, Tyreek Hill is averaging 135 yards per game. Yes, you heard that right. He has the chance to be the first receiver to break that 2,000-yard mark for the season. To find out if Miami can keep the good times rolling at the Lincoln Philly, let's drop in with Sam Marco and Chris Cullen from the Perfectville podcast on Bleav Network.
Thanks, Courtney. The Miami Dolphins in their 5-1 first place in the AFC East record go to the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Sunday night against the also 5-1 Philadelphia Eagles. The Miami Dolphins have to be successful on offense like they have been so far through the first 6 weeks of the season. That means splash plays to Tyreek Hill over the top. That means finding Jalen Waddle underneath and letting him run for yards after the catch. And of course, the run game has to continue to be successful. If they can do that, they can score points against this Philadelphia Eagles defense, but they also have to take care of the other side of the ball. What do they got to do on defense to stop this Philadelphia Eagles offense?
Yeah, Sam, the Miami Dolphins have been beating a lot of cupcakes. The one really good team they played, the Buffalo Bills, took them to task. We got to come out with a game plan to stop Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and all those weapons there. Not an easy task. The Dolphins have a chance to really rewrite what their season looks like this year and cements them as one of the teams that are scary to beat in the NFL. Back to you, Courtney.
Thank you, Sam and Chris. Appreciate the insight. Obviously, this is a very big game for the Dolphins, and it is a chance for them to prove that they are serious this year. But as the guys just mentioned, the defense will make or break their chances of winning this football game. But listen, again, the defense, yes, we got to focus back on the offense because I have a stat for you that I think is mind-blowing. The Miami Dolphins are averaging 316 passing yards a game. A game. You heard that right. I think this one is going to be a shootout, and I can't wait for it. When we return, we will hear from Mike Gill and Eitan Shander, who will break down what the Eagles need to do to defend their home turf. Welcome back to the game plan. So the Eagles lost their perfect record in week 6. What do they need to do differently this week to get the win at home? The Eagles came down to earth in the Meadowlands. No, that's not a poem. That's just really what happened in week 6 when the Jets shocked the NFL with an upset win. Jalen Hurts had a game to forget with 3 INTs and a dismal quarterback rating hovering just above 50. To find out if the Hurts and Eagles offense can bounce back and get the Fly Eagles Fly chance going at the Link, let's hear from Mike Gill and Eitan Shander from the Bleav in Eagles podcast.
Thanks, Courtney. Well, it is Tua and it is Hurts. Over the last 2 seasons, these 2 quarterbacks have been linked as, of course, college buddies, and it's the first meeting in the NFL. They were teammates at Alabama, and as a tied starter, Hurts led his team to back-to-back college football national championship game appearances, but he took his Eagles to the Super Bowl last year. Defense might be a big factor in this game.
Absolutely, Mike. You look at the 2 biggest things right now that the Philadelphia Eagles have to do in order to win this football game. It's simple. It's pressure. You got to limit what you're seeing on the ground from Mostert, and you better get in the face of Tua, or it's going to be a long day for that secondary.
Big factor, the Dolphins. A lot of motion, 60% of their plays, they have motion. The Eagles defense, second in the league in yards per play against teams that run motion. Back to you, Courtney.
Defense seems to be what will make the difference here. The Eagles defense needs to get pressure on Tua Tagovailoa and limit the run game as well. I don't care if the Eagles went to the Super Bowl last year. I think this one is the game that they prove themselves Dolphins over the Eagles. Next up is a marquee AFC West divisional battle as the Chargers travel to Arrowhead to face Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, and the rest of the Kansas City Chiefs. No, I'm just joking. The questions are starting to mount for LA after they drop another close game. I mean, the question begins and ends with Justin Herbert. Is he an elite quarterback? Can they win that big game? To find out the answers to these questions, let's chat with Matt Money Smith and former Charger Lorenzo Neal from the Bleav in Chargers podcast. Guys, what do you got for me?
Thank you, Courtney. Well, a tough loss for the Chargers on Monday night to the Cowboys. Defense played well. The offense did not, from just costly penalties, not being effective on third down, Lorenzo. And really, it was just an off game for Justin Herbert. Here's the good news. Since Justin Herbert became the quarterback of the Chargers, these games have been tight. These teams know each other, and these contests always seem to be in the balance in the final couple minutes of the game.
No question, Money. Offense entertains, they say, but defense wins championships. And I'll tell you right now, the offense with Justin Herbert, they did not entertain up to their quality, up to their standards. This is a must-win if you're trying to stay in contention of winning division. And not, it's going to be a wild card, and you know it's going to be very cluttered because there's a lot of teams in the same position.
How about Herbert's numbers against Kansas City in those 6 games? 68% completions, 291 yards per game, 15 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions, and a QB rating of 107.3. Going to be a good one, and we expect a lot of fireworks from Justin Herbert, Courtney.
Matt Money Smith, you are always on the money. The Chiefs seem to bring out the best of Justin Herbert and the Chargers time after time. I agree with you. Justin Herbert is going to have to put last week behind him and do it quickly. And he's got to focus on having another great game against the Chiefs to give this team a chance to win. On the other side of the football, the Chiefs are coming into this game very well rested after their Thursday night win against Denver. The Mahomes and Kelsey connection was deadly last week. Mahomes putting up over 300 yards in the air. Kelsey grabbing 9 catches for 124 yards. To find out if they can do it again, I'm talking to former Kansas City Chief Joe Valerio and beat reporter Jeff Fidotin from the Bleav in Chiefs podcast. Guys, what can we expect from this big game?
Thanks, Courtney. Joe, a big matchup on our hands Sunday. A divisional matchup, Chargers at Chiefs. How do you see this one shaking out?
Always a big one, Jeff, no matter what the records are in the AFC West. So I'm excited to see what, Patrick Mahomes does coming off of a game where, obviously he didn't play very well. But we also know that Justin Herbert struggled as well last week. So it'll be interesting to see what this Chiefs defense can do against him.
The Chiefs defense has been so good this year. I'm curious if they're going to get pressure on him. And Joe, look out for Mike Dana. He has 4 career sacks against the Chargers. So that's a guy to watch as if we see how this fun Herbert-Mahomes matchup goes this time around.
Yeah, and the Chiefs have Charles Omenihu coming back after a 6-game suspension, which is going to add even more pressure up front for the Chiefs. So it's going to be a really interesting battle on the offensive and defensive lines on both sides of the ball.
Back to you, Courtney.
All right, from my perspective on how I think this is going to go down, high-scoring affair. But let's just be honest here. Justin Herbert has not proven that he can win the big game just yet. Patrick Mahomes, to me, and to everyone else in the NFL right now, still the best quarterback in the league. They might not cover that 5.5-point spread, but I do think that the Chiefs will win this game. My final key game brings us to Baltimore, where the 4-2 Ravens will host the no longer a surprise 5-1 Detroit Lions. It is a battle of division leaders and a measuring stick for both teams, obviously in different conferences, but the Ravens will look to do what they do most in the NFL. That's running the football. They lead the NFL with 203 attempts that have generated 9 touchdowns. To find out what they can do to move the ball on the ground and do it efficiently, we chat with Super Bowl champ Daniel Wilcox and Kari Thompson for the Bleav in Ravens podcast. Guys, what's the game plan?
Thanks, Courtney. Well, it wasn't pretty on the other side of the pond, but the Ravens took care of business against the Tennessee Titans. Lamar Jackson, the top 5 defense, got the better of the Titans, and Justin Tucker was the star of the game too. What'd you see, Wilcox?
Man, what I saw is that we got everybody involved this week. The special teams was back in full effect. My boy Duvernay got off. Lamar Jackson was hot as fish grease. OBJ got busy on him. Zay Flowers got busy on him. It was a great game. I just love to see the energy from the Ravens, and the defense was back in rare form, the way we love to see them.
It is going to be a clash of really good football teams coming up. The key is going to be pressuring Jared Goff, making him uncomfortable. And then on the other side of the ball, Lamar Jackson, stay in control. That's been the name of the game for him thus far. Being in control, as you said, playing point guard, and get out of there with a win by any means necessary next Sunday. Back to you, Courtney.
Lamar Jackson playing point guard this Sunday. He will certainly need to control the game and lead his offense with composure if the Ravens are to have a shot against this very dominant Lions team. When we return, we will hear from Jack Kavanaugh and Glover Quinn, who will break down what the Lions need to do to get to 6-1. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the game plan. So the Lions are on a tear and they just keep winning. So what's their plan to remain one of the top teams in the NFL this week? These are not your dad's Detroit Lions. New look Detroit Lions. They have strung together 4 wins in a row by 14 or more points and climbed to the top of many respected power rankings, including my own. A win in Baltimore could open up a 4-game lead in the NFC North. Wow. To find out if the Lions can keep the good times rolling, let's drop in with our boys, Jack Kavanaugh and Glover Quinn from the Bleav in Lions podcast. Guys, give me the lowdown.
Thanks, Courtney. Glover, the Detroit Lions head into Baltimore, a team that they have lost 5 of their 6 matchups with all time, including the record-setting 66-yard field goal last time they faced off in Detroit. What do you make of this?
Oh, I expect the Lions to continue to take care of business. Hopefully the weather's a little cooler as well. I see the Lions going on the road and continuing to take care of business and beating this Ravens team.
And the Lions have taken care of business at every stop since that loss to the Seattle Seahawks, taken care of business against the Ravens. Any final score predictions here?
I will say the Lions have scored at least 20-plus points in every game, so I'm going to give the Lions at least 27 to 30 points. And I mean, the Ravens, Lamar Jackson is an incredible player, so I give them, 17 to 14.
The Lions will finally establish themselves over the Baltimore Ravens and establish themselves as the kings of the NFC. Back to you, Courtney.
Wow, okay. I would expect nothing less from our Lions crew from our Bleav in Lions podcast. They predicted a couple of weeks ago that the Lions would put up a 40 spot on the Panthers. Guess what? That's exactly what happened. So we're going to roll with another prediction here, a 24-17 win and becoming kings of the NFC. I love it. I'm taking Detroit. How many other times do I got to say it? We love our teams up there at Ford Field. Those are my 3 key games for week 7. Next up is everything you need to know to win your fantasy matchup. Okay, it's that time of the show where we play Pick 6 on the game plan, and joining me to pick his Week 7 lineup is Rami Lavi from the In-Flight Snack podcast, the New York Jets, pride of the New York Jets, and he also loves fantasy football. Rami, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. This is a pleasure to do this.
All right, we go down, we pick one person for each position, go down the list. You are starting off this week with a quarterback that everyone pretty much knows is on their hot seat, Tua Tagovailoa and his MVP season. Why do you think he's going to have a huge game this week?
I saw it firsthand as a Jets fan, right? We were watching the game. Their secondary wasn't great. Zach Wilson couldn't do anything against them, but I think Mike McDaniel still has something to prove on Sunday Night Football. He's going to pull out some tricks. Tua's going to have a big game. They might go for the record. They had 70 points earlier this year. They might go for 75.
All right, let's move on to running back. Saquon Barkley. Could he possibly be on the trade docket for the New York Giants if they choose to be selling at the deadline? But, I mean, listen, this is the guy that you want to play this week. He had a breakout game, 93 yards rushing in his Week 6 game. Why is he your guy this week?
What's crazy about that game is not only did he have the 93 yards rushing, he looked like they were fully reliant on him. Everyone was, for a few weeks there, is he coming back? Is he not coming back? And then he comes back in the first week. It didn't look like there was any handcuffs or any kind of restrictions on him. The Giants are going to be fully reliant on him this week. They're going to keep feeding him. And against Washington, not a great team. I expect him to have another huge game. And they don't have a choice. Their offensive line isn't good enough. They can't hold up against a good pass rush. So they're going to have to run the ball a ton and throw those quick screens with Saquon Barkley.
Wide receiver. For this week, I mean, Tyreek Hill would be a little too obvious for you. You've got a 49er on your list.
I have Brendan Ayuk. We don't know what the status is with Deebo Samuel, so Brendan Ayuk for me. Look, everyone's going to overreact to the big struggles. Brock Purdy, wow, he had one bad game in his career, and all of a sudden we're burying him. See, we told you he's the worst. Okay, I don't believe it. I think he's going to come out. Minnesota stinks. Their secondary is awful. He's going to come out and have a huge game, and Brendan Ayuk has been his guy this year. He's going to want to throw it around. He's going to want to throw it to Ayuk.
Your tight end for this week is a guy that Lamar Jackson seems to love, Mark Andrews. Why is he your favorite tight end?
His targets are starting to go up, so I think that's huge because a lot of drops over there for Baltimore in the wide receiver. Lamar's going to go back to old reliable. He's going to go back to Mark Andrews against a team that is the 5th worst right now against opposing tight ends in the Detroit Lions. I think that's going to be their main target, their number one target. The frustrating part with the Ravens offense is it's so inconsistent. I think this is a week they break out and they throw it to Mark Andrews. They get him back involved, and that's how they break out in this game.
I like that game plan. For your defense, who you got this week? Definitely, is it the Jets? Just kidding.
They're going to beat the bye week, I'll tell you that. They're not going to give up any points. The Jets defense has been remarkable because what they've been doing is getting sacks and turning the ball over. But there's another defense I like, a defense that maybe people are sleeping on. That's the Denver Broncos. They've been really good this year. I know that it doesn't seem like that because there's so much turmoil over there with Russell Wilson and with Sean Payton, so much going on. But I think they've been really good, and guess what? Guess who's sneaky bad this year and throws a lot of interceptions? Green Bay, and they don't have an offensive line. When you can't protect the quarterback, it's going to be really hard for Jordan Love. He's thrown picks. He's not being protected. They're going to get a lot of sacks. They might force a couple turnovers. I like Denver this week.
Okay, and for your waiver wire pick, this is a guy that everyone seems to be saying is like Rob Gronkowski in that New England system. He's also a tight end. His name is Michael Mayer.
Michael Mayer, I love him. He's a tight end. If you're looking for another tight end option out there, there aren't many who are consistent, right? Dalton Schultz has been good with CJ Stroud, but there's not a lot of consistent tight end play out there. Michael Mayer could end up being a breakout guy who could change a league for you this season.
Fantastic. All right, Rami, thank you so much for joining me on Pick 6. I hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
That's all the time we have today on The Game Plan. Go check out the Bleav Podcast Network for more in-depth analysis from every team in the league. And also, don't forget, you can catch live NFL games on Reach TV all season long. We'll see you next week.